with the star.
I don't look forward to having the downs.
Rick's daughter comes to E.T. with the lost footage and reveals how she found out about his tragic death.
We were watching television, and we interrupt this program to bring you a special bulletin.
Plus, the family feud that had Mark Harmon trying to gain custody of her brother.
I think it got out of hand.
Then the
Plane crash and how his family found out.
Started screaming and said, "Stop reading, stop reading," and I was crying.
His family shares the lost home movies with Ricky, his wife, Mom Harriet, and baby Tracy.
daughter Tracy talks about tough times for her father.
You can see how painful it was for him, but he left the stage, he put his guitar down and walked off.
Former child star Patty.
And tonight, whatever happened to your favorite TV stars?
He was the original teen idol. Ricky Nelson was born into a famous family. Well, now, the late star's own family talks about their father's tragic death and shares rare home movies from his life.
But it's all right now. I learned my lesson well.
They are the images of happy times. Rick Nelson with wife Chris. Rick doing the hula in Hawaii as his mom and dad, Ozzie and Harriet, looked on. There's Matthew and Gunnar, Rick's twin sons, who became music stars of their own.
I still remember reaching up and plucking the strings and being, 2-3 years old, and it really kind of sucked me into that whole world.
These home movies are special memories for his oldest child, daughter Tracy.
He was gone so much of the year when I was growing up as a little girl. He was always on the road.
Sadly, on December 31st, 1985, Rick would die on the road. A faulty heater caused a fire on his tour plane, which crashed into a Texas field.
We were watching television, and we interrupt this program to bring you a special bulletin.
She was on vacation in Colorado.
The lady next to me in the booth in the coffee shop was reading about the plane crash out of the paper. I stood up, started screaming, and said, "Stop reading," and I was crying.
It was Tracy's responsibility to arrange her father's funeral. Besides her own family, there was an overflow crowd of his fans.
I remember thinking, wow, that's really gracious and lovely, that these people they felt that he was a part of their lives, and they just sort of showed up.
Who's this? It's my little brother, Ricky. Would you like to see me tap dance?
Little Ricky was just 12 when The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet premiered in 1952. 5 years later, he began to sing on the show, and suddenly, he was right up there with Elvis.
I'm walking, yes indeed I'm talking.
The media coined the term teen idol for his brooding good looks, but pop music historians have said Rick may have saved rock and roll at a time when parents hated it.
He kind of made it okay for kids to listen to it and sort of smuggled it into living rooms all over America, and that's a huge thing, really, if you think about it, because, it's sort of like, well, if the nice Nelson kid is listening to it and singing it, it might be okay.
Between 1957 and 1964, he had 18 top 10 hits. But with the end of his TV show and the arrival of the Beatles, the streak came to an end, a situation he reflected upon in 1983.
I thoroughly enjoyed the ups and everything about it, and I don't like the feeling of being down, so I try to combat that. I'd much rather be successful at what I'm doing, but, it's kind of inevitable.
Being Rick Nelson was not cool anymore in 1964 or 65. He had this image that people attached him to, and it was very hard for him to shake that. And I used to feel so kind of like defensive of him when I was a little girl, because I could feel that it really hurt his feelings.
In 1971, his feelings were hurt some more. Appearing on an all-star oldies show, he started to sing some new songs, and the audience didn't appreciate it.
The crowd just was like, sorry, we want Ricky. We want little Ricky. And they started booing. And the pictures from the concert just break my heart, because you can see how painful it was for him. But he left the stage, he put his guitar down and walked off.
To earn money, he spent as many as 200 days a year on the road. His marriage to Chris Harmon began to unravel. They separated in 1977 and divorced in 1982.
They had a really long divorce, a very long and expensive divorce. The lawyers ended up with pretty much everything, including my dad's house. He was a good father when he was around. He wasn't there a lot. He was very sweet to the kids.
2 years after Rick's death, Chris fought for custody of their 12-year-old son, Sam. Her brother, Mark Harmon, who had been caring for Sam while Chris was in drug rehab, went to court to gain custody, but dropped his suit.
Basically, everybody was just really trying to protect my younger brother. But I think it got out of hand because it got very litigious, and, lawyers started talking instead of the people involved. And when it's family, you just have to sit in a room and talk.
Today, Tracy is the new mother of her second child, Elijah, her son with her boyfriend, a TV director.
My daughter and my son will never know their grandfather, but I've got the show, which is really like, home movies.
With brothers Gunnar, Matthew, and Sam, she is the guardian of her father's legacy, involved with the release of this 4-CD box set of his music and a greatest hits collection as well. With his music out there, she hopes he will never be forgotten.
Teenagers liked Elvis. Parents didn't like Elvis. Parents liked Pat Boone. Teenagers didn't like Pat Boone. But teenagers and parents liked Rick Nelson.